As you know, I recently turned 40, and that birthday felt different. I felt like I was closing one chapter and opening another. Because I lived my 20s through trial and error, and my 30s through struggle, ambition, and the search for validation. But my 40s, the 40s arrived differently, bringing a lot of truth. I'm not talking about knowing everything. I mean removing the mask, reflecting with compassion, and recognizing all I was unaware of. It was as if everything I lived through in the last few years was asking me to pause and look inside myself and at my whole story and say, okay, what did I learn from all of this? So today, in this episode, I'm not here to give you advice. I'm here to share with you 40 lessons that these 40 years have given me on this birthday I just had. Lessons I didn't learn from books, but from hardships, crises, silences, stumbles, many new beginnings, and a lot of reflection. I hope that some of these lessons, or many of them, find you right where you need them. And if not, then let it stay with you until you're ready to hear it and apply it. Lesson number 1. No one is ever going to come and save you. And when you stop waiting for that person, you'll be able to find and save yourself. We are culturally and familiarly programmed to wait for someone to complete us, rescue us, and make us happy. And it happened to me too in my 20s and 30s. I silently and unconsciously waited for someone to see me, to choose me, to make me feel seen, heard, and to make me feel enough. But no one ever came, and in fact many people left, and that was my real beginning. Because only when you stop waiting for someone to save you, you take control of your life and reconnect with your true power. Lesson number 2. If you don't know yourself, you unknowingly betray yourself, constantly adapting, explaining, justifying, and striving for acceptance. You try to fit in until you one day wonder why you no longer recognize yourself. The root of that isn't outside. It's in the fact that when you don't know who you are, you accept the labels and any version others assign to you, and you believe it. Lesson number 3. You can't heal or rescue anyone. Love doesn't replace personal work. You can accompany someone, but you can't drag or force them. You can inspire them, but you can't pressure them. Because when you wear yourself out trying to rescue someone or trying to change someone who doesn't want to get out or change, the one who ends up sinking and abandoning themselves is you. Lesson 4. What is not spoken accumulates, and what accumulates hurts more than what it would have hurt to say. Many times I kept quiet for fear of hurting someone, for fear of conflict, to avoid losing someone. But I learned that silence also screams. And sometimes what you don't say hurts you inside because it builds up and explodes. Speaking up doesn't mean fighting or arguing in a destructive or violent way. It means expressing your needs and desires and acknowledging your pain. This is how you take care of yourself and build good relationships. Lesson 5. Not everything that hurts is a loss. Sometimes it's a liberation. I also held on to people, places, and versions of myself that were no longer good for me, until I understood that not everything that leaves is a tragedy. Sometimes what breaks or what leaves is because it's asking to break or to free up space so that something better and new can come. Lesson 6. Having nice feelings for someone isn't enough. It took me years to understand that. And the thing is, having nice feelings for someone isn't enough to sustain a relationship and build it so that it's strong enough through the years and challenges. You can feel something beautiful for someone and still hurt them. You can feel butterflies in your stomach but still struggle to communicate, set boundaries, or heal your wounds, leading to chaos. For a relationship to flourish, it takes more than just nice feelings. It takes respect, empathy, love languages, teamwork, self-care, emotional intelligence, and maturity. Having feelings for someone is just the starting point, not the guarantee. And if when it doesn't feel so nice, you don't give your best to that equation, then that bond can't hold up anymore and ends up hurting more than it adds. Lesson 7. Your worth comes from who you are, not what you accomplish. We live in a world that rewards having or accumulating, not being. It applauds you for being busy, but not for being at peace. And so we confuse success with exhaustion and happiness with accumulation. But the truth is that what transforms your life the most is not how much you do or how much you have, but from where you do it, from where you achieve it, and how you enjoy it. But above all, true success is not about that, but about how much you have grown inside. how much you have developed your being, and how much you cultivate your self-love. Because when you expand, you respect yourself, own your story, and your outer world reflects your inner world. That inevitably makes everything in your life improve. Lesson 8. Love doesn't always look as exciting as you imagined it. Sometimes it feels more like calm water. As a child, I saw love as butterflies, fireworks, drama, intensity, and adrenaline. Today, I know real, genuine love doesn't unsettle you. It brings peace, helps you see yourself without pressure, and treats you with compassion. It chooses you without making you feel you must prove yourself to be loved or accepted. Not everything that excites or thrills you is love. Sometimes it's more like trauma with good perfume and good marketing on social media. Be careful with that. Lesson 9. If you don't give yourself time alone, you'll never know if you're truly choosing company or just filling emptiness. For a long time, I was in relationships out of fear of being alone until I dared to choose my own company. And that's when I discovered that if you don't enjoy being with yourself, you'll look for in others what you owe yourself and don't know how to give yourself. So remember, you'll never be alone if you enjoy the person you're with when you're by yourself. Lesson 10. The body speaks what your mouth keeps quiet. Aches, insomnia, anxiety, chronic fatigue. My body was screaming what I refused to feel and release in a healthy way. That's why today, when something hurts, I stop running, take a pause, and listen to myself. I listen to my body because the body doesn't lie, and what you keep quiet or try to suppress to keep going on autopilot in the rush of the day, your body screams it out, and often with complicated symptoms. That's why, listen to it. Lesson 11. What you don't heal, you repeat, and it doesn't matter how much you run, how many partners you change, or how much you pretend to be okay. If you don't heal the wound controlling you, you'll return to the same place, just in a different form. We call it bad luck or destiny, or we blame love, work, our boss, or life itself. But often it is just unresolved trauma screaming and wanting to repeat itself. But not to punish you, but so that you finally look at it, heal it, and transform it. Lesson 12. People don't treat you as you are. They treat you as you allow them to, and that shouldn't make you feel guilty, but rather invite you to take responsibility. When you're not clear about your boundaries, others cross them without realizing they are breaking something, and sometimes even you don't realize it. I learned that setting boundaries isn't about violence or aggression, it's self-care. It is the strongest way to say and communicate, I matter to here. The boundaries aren't rejection, they're self-care. Lesson 13. Growing up sometimes means saying, this isn't my responsibility. I spent years feeling responsible for everything and everyone, for their emotions, their challenges, their problems, their finances. I wanted everyone to be okay, even if I wasn't. Now I realize that's not empathy, but emotional overwhelm. A wound and a role you assumed due to something unhealed. You didn't come here to rescue anyone. You, just like me, came to put yourself first, because that's true self-love. Lesson 14. Forgiveness isn't always reconciliation. Forgiving isn't justifying, and it's not pretending nothing happened. It's more about letting go of the emotional burden so you don't keep breaking yourself. Sometimes you forgive and walk away, and that's also love. Love for yourself. Lesson 15. The body you criticize so much is the body that has carried you through all your battles. We demand beauty from it, we ask it for energy, we compare it to others, but we rarely thank it. This body we sometimes reject is the same one that supported us when we cried, lost, or doubted ourselves. So I think it deserves much more care, more attention, and more love. What do you think? Lesson 16. Saying no is crucial for healthy relationships and essential to practice. We were taught that in order to be liked, you have to say yes to everything and be accommodating, but I learned that when you never say no, you end up saying no to yourself, don't you? And that's not a healthy connection with the other person. It actually leads to exhaustion. The strongest relationships survive when one person says, no, this doesn't do me any good. I'd prefer it another way. Then you agree on what's best for you both, the so-called common good. Lesson 17. Loyalty to yourself is hardest. How often do we ignore our intuition to avoid disappointing others? How many times did we know that something wasn't going to be right for us, but we stayed there so as not to make things uncomfortable? The truth is that when you choose to put yourself second to support someone else, it never turns out well. So the most important loyalty you need to have is to yourself. Lesson 18. The wound helped you survive, but it won't let you flourish. That part of you that became strong, self-sufficient, distrustful, or complacent was necessary at some point. It was your lifeline. But if you don't let go and heal, you won't be able to grow. Surviving isn't the same as living. To flourish, drop your shields. You're no longer at war, so relax your guard. Lesson 19. Not everyone will understand you, and that's okay. People will judge, minimize, question, and criticize you, even for things you do well. If you fear disappointing others, you'll never have peace. I learned that people give their opinions based on their level of awareness, their wounds, their perspective, their traumas, not always based on reality. So don't let yourself be ruled by what others might say. Live your life and be happy. Lesson 20. Taking care of yourself also means preventing, not just reacting. For a long time, for me, taking care of myself meant getting ready or fixing myself up when I was already feeling bad. I barely slept, ate poorly, overworked myself, burned out, and only stopped when my body collapsed. But over the years, I understood something that no one taught me when I was 20. And that is that self-care is not just an act of love. It's also a responsibility to yourself. Hoy, cuidarme se ha vuelto una decisión diaria porque intento hacer ejercicio, medito, escribo. Lesson 21. Trust your intuition if something feels off. Sometimes we can't explain why something or someone gives us a bad feeling, and yet we stay, we get involved, we connect, or we sign something because we trust. Until we realize that that feeling or that something was our soul screaming at us. Today, if something doesn't feel right to me, I don't force myself to justify it or to do it. I step back, take a pause, and listen to my intuition, which is almost always wiser than the noise outside. Lesson 22. The one who shouts the most is the one who listens the least. I came across people who always need to be right, to impose, to prove they know, and at some point I was like that too, until I understood that it's just ego, and the more peace you have with yourself, the less you need to prove it to others. True authority and wisdom don't make noise. They're quite humble and can be seen in silence. Lesson 23. As you grow older, it seems like you become antisocial, but in reality, you just become more selective. It's not that you don't want to go out, talk to your friends, or have friends anymore, but rather that you learn to protect your energy. You stop joining conversations out of obligation, no longer reply instantly to every message, and avoid places or events where you don't feel comfortable or yourself. And that, well, isn't isolation, it's honesty. And it's not arrogance, it's taking care of your mental health. Lesson 24. Someone who truly cares for you does not confuse you, does not play with your mind, does not appear and disappear, and does not give you emotional crumbs or handouts of love. If someone wants to stay, they will. If not, it's better they leave, right? Someone who loves you doesn't confuse you. They choose you and prove it by staying by your side. Lesson 25. If you can't be yourself, then you're not with the right person. Because love isn't about perfection or changing for someone else to please them. True love and a healthy bond are born when you can bare your soul, you can also open up emotionally, and you can be vulnerable and continue to feel valuable in this way. And feel that your partner sees and hears you. Of course, we can always improve, but we shouldn't have to become completely different at our core, just out of fear of rejection. If you can't be yourself in a relationship, it's not right for you, since you're sacrificing yourself just to keep the other person. Lesson 26. You're not unmotivated, you're actually overwhelmed or maybe just saturated. And I learned that sometimes when we lose our passion, our fire, or our focus, what we really need is rest. The world pushes us to produce non-stop and in a hurry. But sometimes our mind needs to empty itself and needs a break. So don't confuse a lack of inspiration with laziness, because maybe you don't need to push yourself harder or do more, but rather slow down, take a break, and simply rest. Lesson 27. The most painful loneliness isn't lacking others, but being distant from yourself. You can have a partner, friends, and coworkers and still feel empty, and you can also be in a place with no one and feel fulfilled. The difference isn't whether there's someone in the same room as you, but in how you accompany yourself, because true companionship starts with you. Lesson 28. Sometimes chaos is just your soul doing some cleaning. Everything happens at once. Crises, losses, emotional exhaustion, worries. But it's not the end. It's the beginning of a transformation, because sometimes when everything collapses and falls apart, what is being rearranged and rebuilt is you. Lesson 29. You didn't come to carry everyone or always put yourself last. My midlife crisis began not with a big event, but with a fatigue I couldn't explain. I realized I had spent years holding everything together: my relationship, work teams, image, and everyone I loved, except myself. I understood that no matter how strong you are, you also need to receive, to be cared for and supported. We didn't come here to save the world at the cost of losing or abandoning ourselves. And true strength is not about enduring or carrying someone emotionally, financially, or in any other way. It is about supporting and caring for your loved ones. But knowing how to prioritize yourself and return to yourself without feeling guilty. Not everything is your responsibility, but some things are. Lesson number 30. Time alone doesn't heal. Healing comes from how you use it. Pain can last for years if you don't take action. It's not the calendar that heals. It's your daily decision to face what hurts you, to cry about it, to understand it, and to let it go. Time is just a container. The transformation is up to you. Lesson 31. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself. I lost everything more than once. Certainties, connections, structures, finance, versions of myself. It wasn't pretty. It was emptiness, grief, and silence. In that empty space, what I had ignored for years appeared. Myself, my inner strength. I had to tear everything down to rebuild from a more authentic place. And now I understand losing everything wasn't the end, it was the beginning of a new me. Lesson 32. Inner work is not optional, it's inevitable, and it's not a luxury, it's a necessity if you want to live in peace. For years, I also ran away and repressed things. I distracted myself with work, relationships, and material success until life stopped me and left me with no excuses. It was just me with my story, me with my wounds, and me with my truths. So I had to face myself, look inward, and do inner work. This work is not a passing fad. It is an emotional necessity and a step towards evolution. If you don't do it, you live from what you don't understand, and then you get results you don't want, and unintentionally hurt people you might want to love. Healing yourself isn't selfish. It's the only path to healthy relationships, better results, and a life that doesn't weigh you down, but one you enjoy. Lesson 33. People sense your energy before you speak. Even if you say you're fine, others won't believe you because your energy and attitude reveal the truth. Today I know what I vibrate, I know what I project, and I know what I attract with that. The way I enter a place already has an impact before I even open my mouth. That's why taking care of what I think so that I can take care of what I feel and how I act is fundamental to taking care of what I project and the results I get. Energy doesn't lie, neither does your attitude, nor does your soul. It's not about what you do, but where it comes from. Mind your thoughts to get better results. Lesson 34. Your emotions don't define you, but they do show you which part of yourself you still need to heal. You are not your sadness, you are not your anger, and you are not your anxiety, but you cannot continue to ignore them either. Emotions are messengers of the soul, and if you don't listen to them with love and a lot of attention, they'll start shouting at you through your body, with symptoms, illnesses, and things like that. Now I no longer hide uncomfortable emotions. I feel them and try to understand their message. Feeling is not weakness, it's wisdom waiting to be heard and attended to. Lesson 35. Attitude changes everything. You may have problems, bills to pay, grief to deal with, but if you approach what you are facing with a different attitude, it changes your day and your life. Because if you repeat that every day, your life gets better. Nothing manifests from complaining. Everything starts with how you choose to stand up and face what scares you and what happens to you. Because attitude doesn't just transform the outside, it especially transforms what you feel inside. Even if everything collapses, nothing is more powerful than a good attitude, and nothing yields better results. Lesson 36. There is no more important skill for having good relationships than learning how to communicate. You can love deeply, have good intentions, and wish someone well, but if you can't express your feelings, even with the noblest heart, if you can't express your needs, pain, or goals, you'll lose relationships you could have saved or that had great potential. And be careful, communication is not just talking, it's expressed emotional awareness, it's honesty and maturity conveyed, it's above all, learning to listen. And that builds a bridge that avoids the abyss. Those who don't learn to communicate hurt others, repeat patterns, and destroy their relationships. Lesson 37. Comparing yourself silently harms and abandons you, as measuring yourself against others makes you lose sight of your own path. I did it for years, but instead of bringing me closer to what I wanted, it pushed me further away. Why? Well, because you spend your time stuck or paralyzed, watching others, envying others, and not building your own life. No one else has your soul, your story, or your experiences. Each mind is its own world, so why act like you're in someone else's world or competing with them? You can't be compared, you're a unique person, period. Lesson 38. Being spiritual does not mean levitating, or being highly elevated means being very human and taking responsibility for that. Being spiritual means illuminating your shadows, asking for forgiveness when it's your turn, leaving relationships where there is no longer love, and recognizing that your soul came to grow, not to escape or to hurt. Real spirituality is shown in how you treat yourself and how you treat others, even when no one is watching. And listen, something very important for everyone who claims to be spiritual. Spiritual practice is seen in how you live, not in how beautifully you speak. Lesson 39. The purpose of your life is not something you look for, it's something you remember. I spent years trying to find my purpose, until one day I understood that purpose is not something that's out there, lost, waiting to be found. It's inside each one of us, waiting for us to remove everything that covers it and doesn't let us see it. Your purpose will appear when you connect with yourself, when you do what lights you up and what you're passionate about, when you dare to be and not just seek to have. It's then that you don't just find it, you remember it, since your soul already knew. Your purpose isn't lost, just hidden by noise. Lesson 40 and the final one, life truly begins when you decide to stop acting. I took off the mask, I stopped living to fit in, to be approved, to belong, to play a role that no longer represented me. And there, right there, when I broke my ego, my life began. Without masks, without scripts, with mistakes, yes, but with my soul exposed in a more authentic and genuine way. Because living as a character is exhausting. It's pretending all the time. Living from the soul sets you free, because you're simply living as your true self. Releasing the character is the start of your truth. These 40 lessons aren't rules, but parts of life and myself. I learned that aging is less about growing old and more about refining yourself, becoming more authentic, and returning to your essence. As long as, of course, you do the inner work. I also learned that this stage isn't the end of anything. If I learned anything from this, it's that choosing yourself helps everything else, even your body, fall into place. Relationships, money, peace, ultimately everything changes when you do. If this video moved your heart and touched your soul, please share it with someone who might also benefit from it. Don't forget to comment so I know you liked it and can make more. And if you want more content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because every week I'll be making even better content for you. I promise you. I leave you all my love, and I'll see you in the next episode.